They
This is
flickered in
low.
and out. They moved as if they glided. They were not taking steps, but they were clearly moving towards me. They were clearly making their way towards me. This is frightening to even speak about at this point. They turned around. They turned their head around. They didn't seem like they were beings that were afraid of where they were. They were moving almost methodically in and out. People have suggested they could be holograms, and the more that I think about it, the more that I think that could be true. I don't know what I saw that night. All I know is that it was not normal and they are lying about a fight. People say that I have the wrong date, but the news, the mainstream, the fake news is telling you two different events on two different days. I am not talking about the New Year's brawl that happened with those kids. That's another thing that people use to refute. And so when I speak about this and when I spoke about it, people said, "Oh, you have the wrong date." No, they had the wrong date because I'm not speaking about the situation that took place on New Year's. I tried to take out my phone to take a picture of whatever was going on because I could not believe my eyes. I had my phone in my pocket in the pocket of my jacket. I was wearing a jacket and it was in my pocket. So it was very easy for me to access my phone. I took my phone out and I tried, and every time I would try to press the buttons would not work. Why is that? Why is it that the buttons would not work? I tried to put in my password would not be input. I tried to swipe up so I could just take a video because there was no way anyone would believe what I was telling them I'm seeing. And I couldn't use my phone. And suddenly, tons of police officers filing through the door. Why so many police officers? I have no idea. They say kids were fighting. There were no kids fighting. There were no kids fighting. That was a different day. The brawl took place at a different time. I stood there in disbelief. People around me said, and there was no commotion. That's another thing. It almost seemed like it was a coordinated descent upon the mall. There wasn't chaos amongst the police officers. There was only chaos amongst the people that were in the mall that had no idea what was going on. So I have no idea what was happening. I don't want to jump to any type of conclusion, but all I'm saying is that I was much more nervous than it seemed in the police officers. And of course, our brave men in blue are trained for situations like this. But I don't know. Are individuals or beings of this magnitude would spook anybody that was not prepared to see this. So I don't want to make any foregone conclusions, but I know what I saw. And that was a calm police force descending upon the mall and approaching these beings with no fear at all. These beings had no fingers and no feet. No fingers and no feet.
The military was there, according to witnesses.
They were not standing as a normal human being would. They were not taking steps as a normal human being would. It was the strangest thing that I could imagine. It is, and they don't look like the aliens of the conventional sense. They did not appear like the cartoonish figures that you see. It was more of like it was more of a figure, a triangular figure that also had extremities, and these extremities assisted it in its movement. It moved in a sense like it was gliding, almost like a figure skater, but it was not. It was not a figure skater. I don't know. I can't. Okay. So then the police come in. They seem calm. They seem coordinated. They close off the doors. They file in, and they tell the people to stand in an organized single file line so they can get people out. And of course, people comply because they just want to get out of there. Nobody knows what they're seeing. What they're seeing is something that is very clearly supernatural. They trust them because they seem so calm. They seem so collected. No issues. As we're trying to file through, they pull out this device, and I've never seen this device personally. They pull out this device and they tell people, please hand over your cellular device. Of course, I'm not going to give them any issue. I respect our men and women in blue.
It's a
I don't
good
want to give them any
comment,
problems. I
Walter.
just want to get out of there. So I gave them my phone. They scanned it with this device and they gave it back. And that was that. I walked over to the parking garage a couple blocks over where my car was parked. I was renting a vehicle because, again, I do not live in the area. They seem to almost be individuals or beings that didn't mind. being there. They were not spooked. They were not afraid, but they were also not aggressive. I was not scared at any point in time. I was scared from what I saw, I guess, right, in the way that it shook me, in the way that it's not something that is normal for a person to see. But they were not aggressive towards me. In no way or shape or form did I feel like they were trying to attack me. It almost seemed like they were things that were lost in the ether, things that just stumbled into this existence or stumbled into that moment and had no idea where they were or what was going on. They didn't approach people in any type of way, in an aggressive type of way, or scare them. There was a commotion that took place. People were running, and of course, they should be running because this is something that they're not used to seeing. This is something that is bewildering. This is something for the religious man. This is almost something of a prophecy. It is something that shakes someone to their very bones. I immediately, after I had walked over a couple blocks and got to my hotel, I puked that night. I puked that night because I saw something that was otherworldly. So they weren't aggressive, they weren't hostile. They didn't make people feel like they were hostile in any type of way, and they also didn't come within a close distance of anybody. They kept a distance. Everyone had cleared away right away. Like I said in my tweets, they were very slow, very slow. They were not fast. They could turn their head in many different directions, and they were going through things. They were going through things, and they were not walking. They were gliding, and they were almost flickering, where they would appear in one spot and then appear in another spot in rapid
Well, how
succession.
did you come across them? Did they just appear, out of
They
nowhere?
just appeared. They just appeared out of nowhere to me. To me, I saw a commotion. I turned around, and they were just there. I don't know. I don't know. For whoever believes my story, I will continue to try to tell it. Like I said in my tweets, there were people that approached my. I am speaking today from a location that is different from where I live because I left where I was. There were people approaching my door, and it spooked me out. Thankfully, it's just me, so it's easy for me to move around. But we'll see what's next. We'll see what happens. I'm scared, but I think to me the fact that this is happening is an indication that what I saw is a reality, and that it's not something that I'm just making up or concocting. It is something that is causing me actual discomfort and actual fear inside my stomach. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna continue talking about what I saw because why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? I think we've gotten to this point as a country because we've stopped speaking to each other about the things that actually matter. We've stopped speaking to each other about the things that actually make a difference. And we've stopped speaking to each other about things that actually matter in the long term. They've distracted us with all of these everyday things, with this music, with this new song, with this new sport, with this new sports team, with this new brand, with this new video game. And they expect us not to band together in moments like these where you see something and you're expected to just discredit your brother because it's just something that you can't believe happened, even though I know. Confirm or deny that they would have erased anything. That's the thing. I couldn't get anything onto my phone to begin with because my electronic was acting up. And like I said, I wasn't panicked in the moment because these things didn't seem hostile in any way, shape, or form. But but I couldn't access my camera to take a picture. I couldn't do anything with my phone. It was almost as if it was bricked, like when you're using one of those old iPhones, and when you press the buttons, it just presses different buttons, and it doesn't let you actually use, or it loses all functionality. So I don't know what the device did. I can't confirm nor deny anything that it would have done or could have done, but all I know is that it was something that they were conscious of at the time.
Okay. When you mentioned about the people approaching your door, could you kind of describe that situation a little bit more? I mean, what you described gives the Men in Black kind of vibes. Is that kind of what you were talking about, or are these complete strangers? Were they dressed in suits? How did they look?
No suits, nothing like that, nothing like the movies. It was more so just different types of individuals. One that was in a red puffer jacket and sunglasses and a cap. So nothing, it could have been anybody. It's just I've grown to not believe in coincidence.
Yeah,
I've grown to be skeptical of anything that I come across for good reason, and for that to take place so close to something like this was frightening to say the least. That was very very
it
alarming.
was sunglasses at night, though, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Do you think that what you saw, if say it was a hologram, did it seem like it was independently conscious, or did it seem like it could have been something that was literally planted and controlled by somebody, like a third party at a different location?
I didn't interact with them to come to any type of to deduce something like that, but I think it's plausible that it could have been either or, right? Like the movements were so advanced that it didn't seem like something that was just a hologram, right? But again, it could have been like some type of advanced hologram technology that is made to be so believable, right? Like I'm a normal dude that just happened to have seen this, right? So I've seen the holograms at concerts and the ones that they've used at Super Bowls, and I've seen those types of holograms that they use for entertainment. So I can only imagine that the U.S. military or some type of advanced government entity has access to technology that is just as advanced, if not more advanced, than the stuff that Hollywood has, of course. So it could have been something that's controlled through third party mechanisms, but they very well could have been sentient beings as well.
Okay.
It was the beings in front of me, and then the police coming in behind me, but acting like very organized and very not disheveled, very calm, cool, collected. This took place for about I would like to say time passes by. I don't know. I would say about 2 minutes of people freaking out, not really sure what they're seeing. The commotion at first was visceral, right? So there was like an extreme panic with people running all over the place, and then it was more of a confusion because like I said, these things weren't aggressively pursuing anybody. They were just there. So when that situation took place, um, it had kind of happened in spurts with incredible panic and then less panic as time went on. I would say for about 2 minutes, and in that span, I'm sort of walking away from these things. I'm trying to get my phone out and taking a picture or taking a video of what I'm seeing, but my phone is acting up. It's not working. The doors are behind me. The doors open up, and I hear people walking in behind me, and they come in almost a formation, not panicked, not concerned, nothing going on. They walk past a group of people. At this point, a group of people had sort of converged in a corner by the door, right? They walk past us. They look to their left where these beings at that time were. They ask everyone to file out in a straight line. People file out in a straight line. At this point, they're also in a straight line, almost like as a barrier between us and these things. And then they stand at the door. People walk through. They ask for their phones. They give them their phones. They give them back, and then they're allowed to walk out. Once you walk out, there's nothing really there. There's nobody that's checking anything. There's obviously long lines of police cars. We saw the extent on the videos online at the magnitude of police force. There were helicopters in the air, right? You could hear them. And then at this point, I walk back to my hotel. There's nobody setting up, like, there was nothing at that point. Or I'm sorry, I walk back to the parking garage trying to get to my car. And at that point, again, there's a line of police. From the very beginning to the end of it was maybe 2 to 3 minutes. I think that was, if this was a concerted effort, I think it was by design, right? I think that the longer it went on, the more people would have had an opportunity to sort of capture what they're seeing. But I think that's the extent of what I saw, and apologies if some of it is a little scratchy or in pieces.